Welcome to this deep dive, and we're going to be exploring something that's been creating a lot of buzz in the AI world.
Yeah.
DeepSeek-R1.
It's a big one.
It is a big one. It's this new AI model, and it's coming out of China, which is interesting in itself. We've been getting a lot of questions about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of you have sent us this really cool article by a PhD student.
Saw that one?
Yeah, he actually got it running on a Raspberry Pi.
Which is wild.
I know.
Like when I first saw that, I was like, no way.
Like a tiny computer
Yeah.
for people who might not know.
Yeah, for less than $100.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So we're going to kind of take a look at this whole thing. Like, what is DeepSeek-R1? What makes it so special? How does it actually work?
Right.
And what does it mean for, the future of AI?
Yeah, where is this all going?
Especially,
Yeah.
the potential of, like, this being in our homes.
Right, in our hand.
Not in some,
Exactly.
big tech lab.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable that this level of AI processing is possible on a Raspberry Pi.
Right.
The DeepSeek-R1's release back in January kind of sent shockwaves through the tech world.
For sure.
And to see it running on a device that costs less than $100,
Yeah.
really challenges our assumptions about where AI can live
Right.
and who can use it.
Absolutely.
A whole new ballgame.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is DeepSeek-R1?
Okay.
And what makes it stand out from the other AI models out there?
So DeepSeek-R1 was developed by a Chinese company called DeepSeek.
Oh, okay.
And it's designed for tasks that require, serious brain power, like logical reasoning, solving complex math problems, and making decisions in real time.
So this isn't just like,
Right. This is like next level.
writing a poem or,
Yeah, it's a hardcore AI.
creating an image.
Exactly. Think like a self-driving car navigating a busy city,
Right.
or a robot that can perform surgery.
Yeah.
This is the kind of potential we're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
And what's really causing a stir, I think, is its performance. It's rivaling OpenAI's O1 model, which, has been the gold
It's
standard
the top dog.
in the AI world. Yeah. And the fact that DeepSeek has made this model open source,
That's the game changer.
that is a huge deal.
It completely shakes things up because open source means anyone can access the code, modify it, and build upon it.
So it's not just like they're putting it out there and saying like, hey, look what we did.
No, it's like, here's the blueprint. Go nuts.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it has the potential to really democratize access
Yeah.
to powerful AI, allowing researchers, developers, even hobbyists
Right.
to experiment and innovate in ways that were, previously unimaginable.
So anyone can potentially tinker with this.
Exactly. And that's a big departure from the more closed approach that some other companies have taken.
Right.
And it's causing, ripples in the tech industry. It's even impacting stock prices.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Well, especially with, China kind of being
Yeah,
on the rise in the tech world.
absolutely.
So that open source approach is definitely intriguing, especially, since DeepSeek-R1 is so powerful.
Yeah,
You mentioned it's on par with O1. So what makes this thing kick?
right.
Like what's under the hood?
So one of the key innovations is its architecture, which is called a mixture of experts, or MO.
Mixture of experts. Okay.
Yeah, catchy name, right?
Gee,
So instead of having one massive neural network trying to do everything, DeepSeek-R1 uses multiple specialized submodels,
Okay.
or experts, each trained on a different aspect of the data.
So instead of like, one general practitioner, we have a team of specialists.
Precisely, each with their own area of expertise.
I like that analogy.
And there's this router network within the model that acts like a triage nurse, deciding which experts are needed for each piece of information coming in.
Okay, so it's directing traffic.
Exactly. It's making sure the right expert gets the right information.
That's pretty cool.
What's really clever is that DeepSeek-R1 only activates 2 experts per token. So it's incredibly efficient with its resources.
2 experts.
Yeah, just 2.
Out of how many? Well, it depends on the model size. But even with thousands of potential experts, it only uses 2 at a time.
So it's not just like turning everything on
No, it's very selective.
and processing everything all at once.
Exactly. And that efficiency is crucial, especially when you think about running it on something as small as a Raspberry Pi.
Right.
It's all about maximizing performance with limited resources.
So it makes you wonder, like, what kind of processing power
I know.
is packed into these tiny devices these days?
It's amazing what they can do.
But, AI models aren't just about processing like individual pieces of information, right?
Right.
They need to understand the context, the whole story.
The big picture.
Yeah. So how does DeepSeek-R1 handle that, especially with these, long and complex strings of data?
That's where another key innovation comes in. It's called the multi-head latent attention mechanism.
Multi-head latent attention.
It's a mouthful, I know.
It is?
But it's essentially what allows the model to process those long sequences of data efficiently, even when we're talking about tens of thousands of words. Wow.
It does this by using something called a KV cache, which is essentially a memory bank that stores information from previously analyzed data.
Oh, so it's not starting from scratch every time.
Exactly. It's learning and remembering.
Okay.
And it also uses this clever vector compression technique to reduce the size of the stored data without losing important details.
So it's kind of like having a really good filing system.
That's a great analogy.
So you can find what you need quickly.
Yeah, instead of searching through a mountain of papers.
Right, exactly.
And it's this combination of efficient architecture and smart processing that allows DeepSeek-R1 to handle those incredibly long sequences up to 128,000 tokens,
128,000 tokens.
while still being efficient enough to run on a Raspberry Pi.
That's incredible.
It's mind-blowing that we can have this level of AI processing happening, in the palm of our hand. It's amazing.
So it's pretty amazing that we can have all of this processing happening, basically in a device we can hold. But building a powerful AI model is only half the story, right?
Right. You need to teach it how to use all that power.
Yeah, you need to train it.
Exactly.
So how does DeepSeek approach that with DeepSeek-R1?
So they've developed a 4-step training process, and each step builds on the previous one to create a truly powerful and versatile AI.
Okay.
The first step is called the cold start phase, where the model is given a massive amount of curated data to learn from.
Okay, so this is like the initial boot camp?
Yeah, exactly. And this data set includes examples of something called chain of thought reasoning, which helps the model learn how to think step by step and explain its logic.
So it's not just learning to, spit out an answer?
No, it's learning to show its work.
Okay.
Like, think about solving a math problem. You don't just want the answer, you want to understand the steps involved.
Right, and how it got there.
Exactly. And that's crucial if we're going to trust these models to make important decisions.
Well, especially as these models become more powerful.
Absolutely. Transparency and explainability are key when it comes to AI.
For sure.
And that's just the first step. We'll dive into the other 3 steps in the training process in part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay, sounds like we're just getting started.
We're just scratching the surface.
This is going to be an exciting journey.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how DeepSeek-R1 learns to think.
Right, like in that cold start phase with the chain of thought reasoning.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like teaching it to solve problems the way we do, breaking it down into steps and explaining the logic. But that's just the foundation.
Right.
What comes next is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
It's called reinforcement learning.
Okay.
And this is where the model starts to interact with the world. It's learning from its mistakes, and it's getting better over time.
So it's not just passively absorbing information.
No, it's out there trying things out, seeing what works and what doesn't.
It's like a child learning to ride a bike,
That's a great analogy, and just like a parent guiding their child, DeepSeek uses a technique called reinforcement learning with human feedback, or RLHF. Yeah, and this involves giving the model feedback, rewards and guidance to help it refine its responses and align them with human expectations.
So it's learning from us.
Exactly. It's getting better at understanding what we want from it.
Which is probably important, as this AI is going to be interacting with people in the real world.
Absolutely. It needs to be able to understand our intentions and our values.
Sure.
And they use an algorithm called proximal policy optimization, or PPO.
PPO.
Yeah, which is very effective in these types of learning scenarios. But what's really fascinating is that they also incorporate self-evolution techniques.
Self-evolution.
Yeah, it means the model can actually learn from itself, constantly improving its performance.
Right.
Even without direct human feedback.
So it's like the model has its own internal critic.
Exactly. It's constantly analyzing its own work and finding ways to get better.
That's kind of unsettling.
It is a bit, right?
Wow.
The idea of an AI that can learn and evolve on its own makes you wonder where the line is.
Yeah.
If it's a tool and an independent entity, it's a valid concern, and one that researchers are actively grappling with as AI becomes more and more sophisticated.
For sure.
But for now, let's focus on the next step in DeepSeek-R1's training process:
Okay.
rejection sampling and supervised fine-tuning.
That sounds intense.
It's all about quality control.
Yep.
The model generates multiple responses to a given prompt.
Huh?
And then these responses are ranked based on a reward function that considers things like helpfulness, harmlessness, and truthfulness.
It's kind of like a panel of judges.
Exactly. They're evaluating the model's work and only selecting the top performer.
And I'm guessing only the best response is used for further training.
You got it. And this process of selecting and refining the best outputs helps ensure that DeepSeek-R1 produces high-quality, reliable responses.
Okay.
This stage is really critical because it helps to address potential biases and ensure that the model is aligned with human values.
Right.
We don't want an AI that's spitting out harmful or misleading information.
Definitely not.
Finally, in the last stage, they take all those top-rank outputs and they use them to fine-tune the model even further.
Okay.
This is where it really hones its skills and becomes the powerful AI we've been discussing.
So all of that goes into creating DeepSeek-R1.
It's a complex process,
Yeah.
but it yields incredible results.
It's amazing to think about all that's happening behind the scenes, even when we're just having like a simple conversation with the AI.
Right. It's easy to forget the complexity that goes into making these interactions feel so natural.
And remember, all of this was gleaned from an article by a PhD student,
Yeah, Thomas
Kevin, right?
who got DeepSeek-R1 running on a Raspberry Pi.
It's crazy.
You know it's wild, right?
So I want to hear more about that project. Like, did he just run the model or did he actually like build something with it?
So his article focuses primarily on the technical achievement of getting DeepSeek-R1 to function on a Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
He walks through gathering the necessary hardware, installing the operating system, and ultimately running the model using a tool called Ollama.
So he demonstrated that it's possible,
Exactly.
which is huge in itself.
That's a major breakthrough.
But what does that actually mean for like everyday users? What are the practical applications of having such a powerful AI on a device like a Raspberry Pi?
That's the exciting part, right? This opens up a world of possibilities. Imagine a future where you have personalized AI tutors for every student right at home, or intelligent assistants that can help you manage your daily life, from scheduling appointments to controlling your smart home devices.
Okay.
You could even have AI-powered medical devices that can diagnose and treat conditions in remote areas where access to healthcare is limited.
It's mind-boggling to think about the potential impact.
It really is.
But it also makes me think about access and equity. If this kind of powerful AI becomes commonplace, will it be evenly distributed or will it further exacerbate, existing inequalities?
That's a crucial question, and one that we as a society need to consider very carefully as we navigate this new era of AI.
For sure.
But for now, let's delve a bit deeper into the technical aspects of Thomas Given's project.
Okay.
How he actually got DeepSeek-R1 up and running on the Raspberry Pi.
Okay, let's get a bit more technical then. All right, so welcome back. We've covered a lot of ground, in this deep dive, like going from the, inner workings of this model, the architecture, the training, and then to like its potential to really reshape the AI world.
Absolutely.
But now I want to get hands-on
Okay.
and see how Thomas Kevin, our PhD student, actually got this thing running on a Raspberry Pi.
Let's dive in.
Okay.
It's actually surprisingly accessible.
Okay.
Even for those who aren't like, seasoned programmers.
Okay.
Thomas Kevin really lays out the process in his article.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with gathering the hardware. So you'll need a Raspberry Pi 5, a micro SD card with enough storage to hold the model.
Okay.
And, the usual peripherals like a monitor and a keyboard.
Right.
And of course, a stable internet connection.
So basically the same setup you'd need for any Raspberry Pi project.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nothing too intimidating so far.
No, not at all.
So what's next?
Okay, so next you'll need to install the operating system on your Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
Thomas Kevin actually provides a link in his article to a guide
Okay.
that walks you through that process step by step.
Nice.
Once that's done, then the real magic begins.
Okay.
This is where a tool called Ollama comes in.
Ollama.
Yeah, it's designed specifically for running large language models, and thankfully it's pretty straightforward to install on a Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
Thomas Kevin even provides the exact command you need to run in the terminal.
Oh, nice. So it's copy and paste.
Pretty much, yeah.
Awesome.
So you've got the hardware, the operating system, and Ollama all set up.
We're ready to go.
Almost.
Talk about it.
Before you can start interacting with the model, you need to tell Ollama which version of DeepSeek-R1 you want to use.
Okay, so there's like different versions.
Yeah, there are a few different versions available. Thomas Kevin opted for the 1.5B version,
1.5B.
which refers to the number of parameters in the model.
Parameters. Okay, so that sounds like something we should probably understand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What are parameters?
Think of parameters as the building blocks of the model's intelligence.
Okay.
They represent the connections and weights within the neural network that allow it to process information and generate responses.
So the more parameters a model has, the smarter it is?
Yes, the more parameters, the more complex and nuanced its understanding of the world can be.
Okay.
But it also means that the model is larger and requires more computing power to run.
So there's a trade-off.
Exactly. Choosing the right version is a balancing act between capability and the limitations of your hardware.
Right. So it makes sense that he went with the 1.5.
Yeah. For the Raspberry Pi, it's a good choice.
So once you've got the model version selected, how do you actually run DeepSeek-R1?
It's surprisingly simple.
Okay.
Thomas Kevin provides the command in his article. You just type it into the terminal, hit enter, and voila.
Really?
You have a cutting-edge AI model running on a device that fits in your hand.
It's like magic.
It kind of is.
It's crazy how accessible this technology is becoming,
I know, it's really remarkable.
It does feel like we're at this, cusp of a new era in AI.
Yeah.
Where these powerful tools aren't just, confined to research labs and these tech giants.
Right, exactly. I think Thomas Kevin's project is a testament to that shift.
For sure.
He not only demonstrated that it's possible to run DeepSeek-R1 on Raspberry Pi, but he shared his entire process with the world.
Yeah.
Allowing others to replicate his work and really explore the potential of this technology.
That open source aspect is huge.
It's huge. It's this spirit of collaboration and open source development that's really driving innovation in AI.
Right.
It's amazing to see.
And it's not like he just got it running.
No.
He actually interacted with it.
Yeah, he gives an example in his article of asking DeepSeek-R1 to explain large language models. It's a simple interaction, but it demonstrates that the model is up and running, ready to engage with the world.
It is a powerful image, to think about. Like the sophisticated AI trained on these massive data sets, capable of generating, human quality text and solving these complex problems, all on this tiny little device that costs less than $100.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It really makes you wonder what the future holds, Like what incredible applications are people going to come up with now that this power is in their reach?
The possibilities are endless.
So, I think this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
I agree.
We've explored this technical marvel that is DeepSeek-R1.
Yeah.
But we've also kind of glimpsed this potential to really democratize access to powerful AI.
Absolutely.
We've seen how it's pushing the boundaries of what's possible, blurring the lines between, research labs and our own home.
It's a game changer for sure.
Thomas Kevin's project, it's a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere.
Right.
That the tools for shaping the future of AI are no longer, exclusive to these big institutions.
It's a truly exciting time to be involved in AI.
It is. And, it leaves us with this sense of possibility, this feeling that we're all, in a way, standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Ready to take that next leap forward.
I love that analogy.
Who knows what groundbreaking applications are going to emerge from this newfound accessibility?
That's the beauty of it. We don't know what's next.
It's an exciting time.
It really is.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
On this journey into the heart of DeepSeek-R1.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.